Wait. Why? I don't know. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to make you aware that we are running just a little bit behind. We will be with you momentarily, okay?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All
Good
right.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. We'll start our C calendar. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to begin our Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. I am Judge Regina Mincy, and this is going to be the calendar for cases in which individuals have recently been arrested and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses. Soon after their arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's Office has already accused these cases of the charges brought against them, and the case has been bound over to the Fulton County State Court. Nevertheless, this will usually be the defendant's initial appearance before a state court judge, so we are able to address several matters, including bond, possible arraignment, and consideration of a possible plea offer if one has been made by the state at this juncture. I will be providing you with a reset date, which is what date, Ms. Bridgewater?
It will be September the 14th.
Okay, September the 14th is that SAP reset date. I also want to begin by advising everyone that this whole entire proceeding is being recorded as well as live streamed on YouTube. Govern yourselves accordingly. I want to also remind the defendants on this calendar that you have certain constitutional rights. The first being that you have a right to representation at this time or this juncture in your case. You should know who your attorney is by now. You also have a second constitutional right, which is the right to remain silent. Remember that anything that you state about the facts, the circumstances, and the occurrence of your case can and will be held against you. The state is here, they're listening, so listen to your attorneys again. All right. First case.
Position number 2, Ms. Calhoun.
All right, this is 23 CR 005283 F. Sheila Calhoun, charged with 2 counts of battery and 2 counts of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Pre-trial.
I got 3rd arrest. Last was in 1999 for simple battery. She was recommended.
All right. State.
Your Honor, in this matter, officers responded to a dispute call and made contact with the victim and a witness. The victim stated she was assaulted by her child's father and her child's grandmother, who is the defendant. The defendant ripped 3 braids out of the victim's scalp, and when the victim was knocked to the ground, the defendant's son continued attacking her. The attack was carried out in front of the victim's 2 children, AL and KL, and the defendant and the defendant's son fled the scene. The incident location appears to belong to the defendant, so we're not requesting a stay away, but we are requesting a $5,000 surety bond. That would be $3,000 on the first count, $1,000 on the second count, and $500 on the 3rd and 4th count. We'd also ask for a no further contact with Miss Jasmine Lofton. We were able to contact the victim, and she stated she wishes to continue to have contact with the defendant, but we are concerned given the nature of the charges. I believe she is on the Zoom, and I'd like Your Honor to sound for her when appropriate.
All right. PD, let's see. Abden or Kim?
It's me, Your Honor, but
Okay.
I believe the witness is on the call.
Oh, we do have the witness. Let's see, Miss Lofton.
And that'll be the victim, Your Honor. The witness is someone separate.
Oh, so who's on the call regarding this case? Do I have Jasmine Lofton on the line?
Yes.
All right, do you wish to address the court today?
I wish to address it, but
Hold on. Please slow down. That was a
Okay.
yes or no question. Do you wish to address the court today? Yes or no?
Yes.
If you do, you have to turn on your camera. I have to see you and I'll swear you in first.
Okay.
Are you able to turn on your video?
I'm trying.
Got about 2 more seconds. Then I'll have to move on. You may have to sign out and sign in if you didn't select to have your video and your audio to come on. when you signed on. Sometimes that's the problem. But if you can't get it working, I need to move on. I can't wait too much longer for you to get your devices working.
I'm not able to get the video on.
Okay. All right. Well, you can mute yourself and we'll move on. Okay. All right, Ms. Abden.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 64 years old. She's lived in Georgia her whole life. She's retired now, but she worked for a cleaning service for 22 years. Her husband is disabled and she's his primary caretaker. It's my understanding that she was trying to separate Jasmine and her son, who were fighting at the time. It's also my understanding that Jasmine is not afraid of her and invited her to her home recently. And if the court is inclined to grant the no further contact, my client is okay with that. She is recommended for unsecured judicial release, and so I would ask for a signature bond.
All right. I'm going to order that $5,000 signature bond, and I'm going to order that through the jail. I'm going to, again, that breakdown, 3,000 on the battery, first battery, 1,000 on the second battery, 500 on each of the cruelty charges. I'm going to order no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, no guns while on bond. I am toying here a little bit. I know the parties don't reside together, obviously, about this no further contact or no further violent contact. And it's still, well, this was on August the 12th. And so today's the 31st. I will order no further violent contact with the victim and the two minor victims. So I'll leave it at no further violent contact at this time. Is there anything else, counsel?
Nothing
No,
further,
thank you, Your
Counsel.
Honor.
All right, thank you.
Position 6, more.
Okay. This is 23 CR 005287G, Cameron Moore, charge of 1 count of battery family violence, pretrial.
First arrest, SOB jail was the recommendation.
All right. Okay. All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened 8/20 of this year at 9500 Clubland Drive, Johns Creek. At 9:30 p.m., the officers respond to the location concerning a demented person. Mr. Kevin Moore, the father and the victim, opened the door and spoke with officers. He was visibly shaking and crying. He advised officers that the defendant had fought him. And when officers asked the defendant what happened, the defendant told officers that he attacked him, stating that he woke up and he wanted to fight someone, and that's why he attacked his father. Mr. Kevin Moore also told officers that the parties were arguing about a car and who was driving it. And while he was sitting in his chair, that's when the defendant walked over to him and pushed him on the ground, causing him to hit his head. And there was physical injury observed in the back of his head where he had fallen. The state was able to talk to Mr. Kevin Moore, who is the father of the defendant. They do live together at the incident location. He stated that defendant had had a bad accident and suffered from traumatic brain injury. And a side effect is some MH issues. And he stated that the defendant was taken to Northside Hospital where he was 1013, but he just wants the defendant to stay on his medication. He claims that the defendant is not a violent person and he's never been violent, and he is his primary caregiver. So based on the limited cycles, the state is asking for a 4,000 signature bond through pretrial, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, to comply with any medications that he's currently on, and no further violent contact with Mr. Kevin Moore. And I would like to sound for Mr. Moore if he's present on the Zoom today.
All right, Mr. Kevin Moore. Kevin Moore, what is their relationship? Again, I know you said primary caregiver. Are they brothers? Do you know?
Mr. Moore, he's here in the courtroom.
I'm sorry. Oh, he's at the jail.
Your Honor, I am Cameron Moore's attorney. I do believe that his father is present. I believe he's present at the jail at this time. But just kind of echoing what the state said, you know, he recently suffered a traumatic brain injury. And as you know, injury to the brain can have very differing effects. And so we're just starting to learn about these effects. And he has some symptoms of what looks like mental health symptoms, but it's due to this brain injury. And Dad is really hoping that, you know, he can get Cameron home so that he can help facilitate, you know, making sure he stays on the medication, making sure that he stays safe and out of trouble. They currently reside together. And I think it would be beneficial for them to remain together, as Mr. Kevin Moore has been, for all intents and purposes, his caregiver since the time of the accident.
All right, and thank you, Attorney McCain. I'm not sure that I need to hear much more. I'm pretty clear on what to do, but I will obviously give Mr. Moore a few seconds if he wishes to address the court, or if the attorney has spoken and said it all eloquently. I don't like to have repeat testimony, but Mr. Moore, do you wish to address the court briefly?
I have nothing to add, Your Honor, except that.
Hold on. Either you have nothing to add or you do. If you do, I'm going to swear you in.
Go ahead and swear me in, Your Honor, please.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, you can put your hand down. What were you going to state to the court?
Your Honor, I just want to let you know that my son is not a violent person, and he did make a mistake trying to get the keys away from me, but he needs medication, and that is his biggest issue, is that he does not take medication. So as long as we can make a bond term that he continue with medical care, including the medication, then I'm sure he will be fine and you won't see him back here.
All right, that is fine. What I usually order in similar cases is that they continue with their treatment and take all prescribed medications to help them with their condition. And so, you know, he is grown and an adult. So I know sometimes that can be difficult, but I'm going to go ahead and give him the signature bond, the $4,000 signature bond. And I'm going to order that through the jail, since he does have support from you, Mr. Moore, so that he can sign his own bond through the jail. I'm going to, did I say 4,000? I believe I did. I'm going to order no further violent contact with Mr. Kevin Moore. And I'm going to order Cameron Moore for you to continue with treatment or get treatment for your condition and take medication and follow all of the instructions of your treating physicians, so that we won't have any more incidents or alleged incidents. I'm going to order no unprescribed drugs, no alcohol, no guns, and no weapons while on bond. And again, follow your course of treatment by your physicians and medication. Anything else that I need to add, counsel?
Judge, if I may, at one point I had discussed with his father the possibility of adding the condition that he get an MRI done. They're trying, you know, his father wants to take him to brain specialists so they can get a better understanding of just how deep the impact of this injury is going to be. And I understand previous attempts were not successful. So if we could also add that provision.
Okay, all right, definitely we want to help you, Mr. Moore, so that you will get better. So I'm going to order that you cooperate and participate in having that MRI conducted and any other testing and treatment that is necessary for your condition, okay? So please, I'm going to order that you have to participate and take that MRI. All right, there's nothing else that will conclude this matter.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Position 12, Rush.
This is 23 CR 005293H, Kiara Rush. Is this 2 counts of battery?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, 2 counts of battery, pretrial.
Fourth arrest, 2018 was the last. Possession of a controlled substance, DUI, improper traffic lane usage. Got a 2014 battery out of Illinois. 2018, I'm sorry. 2014 battery was dismissed. I saw a hold out of DeKalb County for criminal attempt to commit aggravated assault. That's it.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened yesterday at 397 North Central Avenue in Hayfield, Georgia. Officers were dispatched to an assault call made on a male and an office worker at Signal Apartments, which is the location. And they arrived to defendant already detained by Hayfield units. Officers were advised that Mr. Christopher Jeff Coates, one of the victims, had been working with the defendant as a passenger in a van when they began to argue about the long day. And as they returned to his residence at the location, defendant began swinging on him, swinging her fist at him and snatching his keys from him, hitting him, pulling at his shirt, which caused a 4-inch scratch on his chest. Mr. Jeff Code attempted to retreat from her, went into the office portion of the location of the apartment complex to separate himself from her, and defendant followed him, screaming obscenities at him and still yelling and swinging at him. And then Miss Taylor Snyder, who is a office worker at the apartment complex, tried to intervene and tell the parties that this wasn't the place to do this, and defendant got upset and started yelling at Miss Taylor and scratched her with her fingernail on the inside of her left bicep, and then punched Miss Taylor in the mouth, causing swellness and redness to her upper lip. And then it took the apartment maintenance workers to come in and pull the parties away from each other. And the defendant was cuffed by the off-duty officer at that location until Hayfield police officers were able to arrive. I would like to sound for Miss Taylor Snyder, and I would like to sound for Mr. Christopher Jeffco. Considering that the defendant has a domestic battery from Illinois in 2018, and she is wanted out of Decatur for assault from June of this year. The state is asking, bond is currently at 1,000 per count. The state is asking to increase it to 4,000 total, 2,000 per count, to stay away from that location, 397 North Central Avenue, Hayfield, Georgia. No further contact with Ms. Taylor Snyder and Mr. Christopher Jeffco. 1 day of anger awareness, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, Your Honor.
All right, PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 30 years old. She was born in Illinois. She has been here in Georgia for about 3 years. Your Honor, her mother also moved to Georgia, and she has 2 minor children here in Georgia, 15 and 17. She has a part-time job to clean houses, and yet her financial situation is not she does not make a lot of money, so she will be qualified for public defender services. Your Honor, she graduated from high school successfully, and as a single mother, she works, try to make a living to take care of 2 children. we would like to request for signature on bond. And yet, if Your Honor is not inclined to give her a signature on bond because of the warrant in DeKalb County, which she is presumed to be innocent, we ask for $2,000 just remain as set. It was set by another judge at $1,000 per each. It does not have to be increased. And we are totally okay with the stay away and no further contact. Thank you.
All right, let me ask this on the stay away. Was that the work location where all the parties work together?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was not okay.
From my understanding, it's where one of the victims lives and they were traveling in a van together. So she doesn't live there. It's just one of the victim lives there. And that's the incident location as well.
Okay. So that would be okay on the stay away. I was just making sure
Yes.
to be clear on that. As far as the bond goes, I know there's a hold in DeKalb, and she wants to attend to that. I'm going to go ahead and order the $4,000 signature bond through the jail, $2,000 on each of the charges, and that she be released to DeKalb County only, or any other jurisdictions with holds, but not released without going to take care of the holds first. I'm going to order a stay away from the incident location. No further contact with the victims. I think Taylor Snyder, and then there was a second one. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, guns while on bond. And that's all I order at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Position number 5, Ms. Miller.
This is 23 CR 005286D. Ashley Miller Tinch, charged at 1 count of criminal trespass and damage to property, pretrial.
7 total. Last was 2017, suspended license. 2016, probation. 2011, shoplifting conviction.
All right, state.
Your Honor, in this matter, an officer was on patrol at the incident location, which is a gas station. He observed 2 vehicles get in, pull in, the defendant exit one vehicle and the victim exit another vehicle, and then those 2 persons enter into a heated argument. He observed the defendant throw an object at the victim's car before the defendant left. The victim advised the officer that the defendant had broken his passenger side window, and on that basis, the officer wrote a warrant. The state is recommending a $3,000 signature on bond through pretrial services, no further contact with the victim, Mr. Sangario Tinch, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. I would like to sound for Mr. Tinch, but our office was not able to make contact.
All right, Mr. Tinch. Mr. Tinch, I don't see anyone on by that. We'll move forward. PD Abden.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 33 years old. She was born in Georgia. She's lived here her whole life. She's working as a hairstylist at Vanity Suites, where she's been working for the past year. She has a 15-year-old child with Mr. Tinch. They are separated as of last year. And she lives with her mom, and he lives with his family. And her daughter lives with her and her mother. She's the primary caretaker for her daughter and her mother, and she's also the breadwinner. Her last arrest was in 2017. Although she's not recommended for unsecured judicial release, I would ask that the signature bond would be through the jail rather than pretrial, if Your Honor is inclined. And she does not contest the no further contact.
All right, I will order the $3,000 signature bond. I will order that, seems like she has enough contacts here and she's working. I will order that through the jail. And there will be no further contact with the victim. Tinch. Also, stay away from the incident location. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I think that's it. Anything else, counsel?
No, that's all. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Excuse me, Your Honor, there is an attorney present on case number 1.
Oh, I do see.
Yes.
Is it Mr. Cohn or?
Exactly.
It is good. Good afternoon.
All right. I apologize. Yes, because I normally try to get my attorneys if I can, in and out. And I see that you're on the case of Xander.
Yes, position 1.
All right, Deputy, can we move to position 1, please?
Your Honor, just out of an abundance of caution, a breakout may be appropriate in this case. I believe in addition to Mr. Cohn, I see a Mr. Matt Burton, who I believe to be the father of the defendant. Both of those persons would be appropriate to add to the breakout, should you grant it.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, I didn't need a breakout, but I'm more than happy to talk always.
Okay. Is it Mr. Jordan still?
Yes, it is.
Who do you
We
need a
request-
breakout room for? Check.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jordan?
You needed a breakout room?
Yes, for Attorney Larry Cohn, Milan,
And
and what's the other person's name?
Matt Burton, Burden.
Do you see Mr. Burden on there?
He may have gotten, he told me his Zoom was cutting in and out, but if he got next, I'll just
I
speak
see
to the
him on here.
solicitor.
And you need to be in the breakout room too?
Yes.
Okay.
This is Matt Burton. I'm here, Your Honor.
Okay. And Miss Holly. All right, we're back on the record. And Mr. Burton, can you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, we've discussed your case in a breakout. And as you know, your dad is here as well on the Zoom call. And I'm going to grant you a $2,500 signature bond through the jail. However, due to your age, your father will have to co-sign for that bond. And he is prepared to do that. And that's 1,000 on the first charge, which is the driving, fleeing, and 500 on the other 3 charges. We're going to release you with your dad's co-signature so that you can go immediately to the location that he has set up for you to go to in Tennessee, and you're to be there within 48 hours or less. You are to go there, follow all forms of treatment and any type of other requirements. You're to stay on any prescribed medications. We're going to order MH eval, which will be done as well.
I did.
And also, you are not to drive except for going to receive medical care, going to work, going to see your attorney, or for court appearances, or for school. Those are the only reasons for you to drive if you need to. And no drugs, no alcohol or unprescribed medications, guns or weapons while on bond. You understand all of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Good luck to you. And that will conclude your case for today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. You're welcome. All right.
15 Wiggins.
All right. Mr. Cohn, is that your only case? I was gonna say you're free to go. Okay. All right. This is 23 CR 005296F. Alexandria Wiggins, charged with 1 count of simple battery, pretrial.
5th arrest, last was August 8th out of Clayton County, probation. On probation in Clayton County for DUI. 2022 battery arrest. That's all I got.
All right. State.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened yesterday at 171 Auburn Avenue, Starbucks. The Starbucks. The defendant approached the minor FP while she was trying to pick up her food, and while waiting for her food, Ms. Wiggins began to speak to FP, asking her several times to come outside and play with her. Nobody will know. And she asked several more times for a hug and pulled on FP's right arm for a hug. The victim is 11 years old. Bond is currently at 1,000. Where the state is asking for that 1,000 surety to stay. Also stay away from the 171 Auburn Avenue Starbucks. No further contact with FP and an MHET.
All right. PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 28 years old. She was born and raised here in Georgia. Your Honor, my client is gainfully employed for business management. She is involved in distribution and consumption of products. And Your Honor, she also claims that she has a PhD from Western Government University in Utah. And she denies the allegation, and we would like to request for signature on bond. She did not have any other violence in the past, so we would like to request for that. We have no objection to stay away or no further contact with FP. Thank you.
Right.
Your Honor, there is a 2022 battery.
Yes, I was going to say, I thought you all, our pretrial told me there's a 2022 battery. What's the 88 is the probation violation?
Yes, Your Honor. And then a DUI, two DUIs out of 2021, to my understanding, but it was no pros.
Okay. And PD Kim, you stated that she has a PhD. Is she working?
Yes, that's what she told me.
I'm going to order the surety bond, and I will leave that surety bond at $1,000. I'm going to order a stay away from 171 Auburn Avenue to Starbucks. No further contact with the minor FP. I do not have enough information at the moment to order MHET yet. I won't do that, but I'm going to order no drugs, no unprescribed medications, alcohol, weapons or guns while on bond. And that's all I'll order at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position
What's
3.
that bond again?
$1,000 surety. Go ahead, Deputy.
Position number 3, Landers.
Okay. This is 23 CR 005284J. Charge of 1 count of possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under 18 years of age, willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, loitering and prowling, 2 counts of loitering and prowling. Pre-trial.
4th arrest, last was in March for theft by taking. Fleeing an officer, driving without a valid license. That was out of Gwinnett. 2022 failure to appear. 2022 possession of marijuana, NOD.
State.
Your Honor, in this case, officers were dispatched to a different location than the location listed on the warrant. About 2 males looking into vehicles around 3 in the morning. When officers arrived, they received another call about 2 males matching the description of the first call, looking into vehicles at an apartment complex across the street from the initial location. So that second location is the location on your warrant. Officers made contact with the 2 males at the second location and both fled on foot, contrary to officers' lawful orders. Officers were able to catch the defendant. Officer found multiple 9mm rounds on the defendant and found a 9mm Rucker pistol on the ground near where the defendant fled. The officer determined that the weapon belonged to the defendant as the 9mm rounds on the defendant matched the ones in the weapon. The gun was dry despite that it had been raining all night, and that the second caller identified the defendant as carrying a gun. The defendant is 17. The 2 counts of loitering and prowling are because of the 2 callers from different locations. Your Honor, we are asking for a $14,000 surety bond. That would be $5,000 on the first count, $1,000 on the second count, and $4,000 on the third count and fourth count. We're also asking for no alcohol, drugs, or weapons and a stay away from both incident locations. Your Honor, the first incident location is 4060 Herschel Road, Atlanta. I believe that's the one on your warrant. The second location is 2609 Charlestown Drive, Atlanta.
All right. PD Abdul.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 17 years old. He's lived in Georgia his whole life. He's getting his GED at Acceleration Academy. He's already missed 2 days of school and would like to return so this situation doesn't impact his education. He firmly denies these allegations. He wants to return home to his mother, Jasmine, who's on the call today to show her support. And she confirmed that she will be his co-signer if bond is set. And she tells me that she will ensure that he returns back to court and to see this case through. It is my understanding that this apartment is his aunt's. He was at his aunt's home, so it's one of those addresses, and he was visiting her. These are mere allegations at this time. Like I said, he has his family support, and I would ask the court for a signature bond through pretrial services. And if the court is not inclined, a lower surety bond of $500, as that is all his family would be able to afford at this time.
Does he have an open case from March or no?
Your Honor, I was a little confused trying to navigate that in the Odyssey system. I showed that the defendant was arrested in 2023 for theft, taking, felony. Also fleeing, eluding, and driving without valid license.
The March case I had was out of Gwinnett. Let me look it up real quick.
Oh, okay. It's out of Gwinnett.
Your Honor, if it is an open case, go ahead.
Okay, it is. Okay.
Well, he hasn't been convicted of the charges in the open case. And like I said, Your Honor, he has his family's full support. He's very young, and he just wants to get back to school. So I would still ask for the signature bond through pretrial services.
To be fair, Your Honor, the defendant's age is the basis of one of the charges.
Yeah, Judge, that's out of Gwinnett.
Okay, out of Gwinnett. Okay.
Correct.
All right. I'm hesitant because I am concerned, but there's going to be a lot of conditions to this bond. But I'm going to order the $14,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge. I'm slightly reluctant, but hoping that this will be the last time that we will see this defendant and not have him to get in any more trouble or be around anyone that may be causing him trouble. So that will be $5,000 on the first charge, $1,000 on the second, and $4,000 on each of the loiter and prowling. And I will warn you, Mr. Landers, be careful who you hang out with, but I'm going to give you this signature bond through pretrial services, and your mother will have to co-sign for you on this bond. And Miss Jasmine, not sure what mom's last name is.
It's Landers, Your Honor. She's on as iPhone Jasmine.
All right, Miss Landers.
Miss Land.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you turn on your camera, please?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Hey.
So how are you? I'm going to order this signature bond through pretrial, but you have to co-sign for your son.
Okay.
And make sure that he complies with all the requirements of reporting in to pretrial.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to order that he continue with his GED classes at the Acceleration Academy, or some type of GED classes. He must complete them. He may be off bond by then, or he may still be on bond, but he's got to go to some type of GED program and complete that. I'm going to also order that he have a curfew. And with that curfew, he is to be in by, I think I usually do, what I usually do, Mr. Palan, 9 or 10?
I think 10 p.m. is appropriate, Your Honor.
Okay, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., give or take. I'm hoping if he gets out at 7, he can get to classes. I don't know if they're online, if that's going to be okay. So any other times he needs to be at home.
Okay.
And I'm also going to order through no drugs, no alcohol, no unprescribed medications, no weapons, no guns while on bond. I know we have this gun. If he has any other guns, he needs to turn them into the sheriff's department immediately. Mom, you can check the room and see.
Okay.
Make sure there's no other guns found in his room. If so, you need to turn them into the sheriff's department.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that's it. Oh, We want stayaways from both of those incident locations, correct, Mr. Valon? All right, he's to stay away from the Herschel Road and the Charlestown Drive, those locations, stay away. I know they said maybe an aunt or relative lives at one, she'll have to come visit him, he can't visit her.
Okay.
Okay, and no further contact. Is there a co-defendant in this case?
I saw that in the report. I don't know where that co-defendant ended up, Your Honor.
Oh, that's
I'm
right,
kinda
they
like
only
the
caught
covering these
this
cases.
defendant, okay. All right, and I would just tell you once again, admonish you, watch who you hang around with. Pick some different friends who aren't getting in trouble. All right, good luck to you, Mr. Landers, and good luck to you, Ms. Landers.
Thank you.
Yes.
So she need to bring a valid ID and a utility bill when she co-signs.
Yes, will you be able to do that, Ms. Landers?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms.
Okay.
Landers, I'll give you a call and tell you what to bring in a moment.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Your Honor, will you go over those bond amounts one more time? I want to make sure I get it right.
Yes, ma'am. First charge is 5,000, which is the pistol charge,
Uh-huh,
and then 1,000 on the obstruction,
uh-huh.
and then 4,000 on each of the loitering prowlings.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
And just so his mother know, if he get rearrested, because it seems to be a pattern, that's gonna be $14,000 bond that they're gonna have to post, plus the new bond.
Mm-hmm.
So just letting you know. But yeah, this is per judge.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I would just post for the record that my office opposes the granting of a surety or signature bond.
Right. Thank you. So noted. All right.
Position number 4, Mr. Lyons.
Okay. This is 23 CR 005285Y. Devonta Lyon, charged with 1 count of theft by receiving stolen property. Pre-trial.
This is 10th arrest. Last was 2022, suspended license. Suspended registration, making false statement pertaining to motor vehicle insurance. He didn't have any theft history that I saw.
Okay.
But he does have a Jonesboro hold or warrant as of January. I'm not sure what it's for. Oh, excuse me. That's it.
All right. State.
Your Honor, I believe the hold is for one of two things. I saw 2 arrests from 2022. One is for just an FTA. The other is driving while license suspended, a registration charge, and a knowing false statement about insurance charge. So I would concur with pretrial. I don't see any theft history, but I do see some offenses involving dishonesty.
Okay.
Honor, in this matter, officers responded to a vehicle theft at 1044 Washington Street. The victims suffered a loss of headphones. Those headphones have a tracking function, Your Honor. And so the officer and the victim worked together to narrow that down to 5 apartments located at 1038 Washington Street. The headphones also have a ping function so that when it's activated remotely, it creates a loud noise. Goodness. The defendant walked past the officer and victim going into apartment 1. When they pinged the headphones, the officer heard that sound come from the defendant as he was entering into the apartment. The officer then knocked on the door and female answered the door, but eventually the defendant came to the door with the headphones in his hand. The victim was also able to observe his headphones case on the defendant's floor. The defendant claims he purchased the headphones for $15 to $20. Your Honor, most of the arrest history is admittedly in relation to driving offenses. So we're asking for a $3,000 signature bond, but we're asking it through pretrial services because of the convictions on probation violations and FTA arrests. We're also asking for no further contact with the victim, Mr. Renzo Villarroel. And Your Honor, I'll hear a counter argument from defense, but we would ask for a stay away order from 1044 Washington Street Southwest. I don't know how close that is to 1038 Washington Street or if the defendant lives at that location.
Okay, let's see. PD Abden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Should I do my bond argument or respond to the location?
You can respond to the location and then.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have a Jonesboro address, and I also have a Haygood Avenue address. So, Mr. Lyon, can you just confirm for us where you're living at this time?
Well, I got a family member that stay at 1044 Washington Street. My mailing address is Haygood.
Got you.
In Jonesboro, that's my grandma old address. They deceased right now. So that's like a second mailing address.
Okay,
Thank you.
The state would maintain its stay away request.
okay,
Thank you.
gotcha. All right, go ahead, PD Abden.
Thanks, Your Honor. My client's 29 years old. He's lived in Georgia his whole life. He's currently working at the Sweet Lounge as a busser. He's also a student at UEI in Morrow. It's a career-focused vocational school. He has 2 children, 8 and 7 years old. He denies these allegations, and as pretrial stated and the state confirmed, he doesn't have a pattern of theft offenses. He tells me that he had no reason to believe that these headphones were stolen, and he did come to the door with them. And I would like to highlight that for the court. His indigency is a concern, and I would ask the court for signature bond through the jail, and if not, at least to lower the signature bond amount through pretrial.
Okay,
And I think I failed to present this, Your Honor, that the disparity. The defendant claimed he paid $15 to $20 for the headphones. The headphones retail for $600.
right, especially with all the things you said these
Yeah.
headphones do.
Yeah. Also comes with missiles and I don't know.
Sounds like expensive headphones. All right, I will order the $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge. I'm going to do it through pretrial because I want there to be some monitoring. I'm going to order that the defendant stay away from whatever these apartments are called on Washington Street. I have a 1038 and a 1044, but I don't know if the defendant can tell us what the name of the apartment complex is, because if he doesn't live there, I'm just going to order that while he's on bond, he not go to that complex. Do you know the name of the complex, sir?
No, ma'am. I have a family member that's staying in the complex. I was in the shelter, but the shelter closed throughout the summer, so I'm staying with a family member in that complex.
Okay. Well, due to the allegations here while you're on bond, I do not want you to go back there, and maybe talk to your attorney about.
Your Honor, would it be possible that he stay away from the specific apartment and be allowed to go back to the other apartment where he's residing so he doesn't end up homeless?
I kind of heard that. I was getting ready to recommend social service to evaluate help with that, but I understand there were 2 apartments, 1038 and 1044, or either of those. And I guess you can ask him, PD Abden, I apologize, as to where the relative lives. Does the relative live in either one of those?
My understanding, Your Honor, is 1044 is the address where the victims reside. So state would pretty stridently request that stay away. My concern, and the reason I raise it, is that
We just lost his connection. Usually they kind of come back.
Yeah.
But once he figures it, he'll probably sign out and come back in.
So also, just for the record, I Googled it. It looks like the apartment complex is called Peoplestown Revitalization.
Okay.
That's what it says on Google, but
yeah.
I don't know if I may continue. I mean, all I wanted to say is that
hold on a second.
There we go.
Hold on. You see him coming back in, Mr. Jordan?
No, you're good.
Okay. May have been what happened to me one day. The whole thing when I said to get on my cell phone in the middle of court. I was like, anything can happen with the internet these days. If not, he may be trying to get back on with his phone. He doesn't have a partner today, does he? Is there another ASG on?
I thought I saw.
He does have a partner, but
I'm sorry, Miss Nimini. You're the partner. Of course, you may not have the notes. Do you have his number at all to call him?
Yes, I'm reaching out to him.
You're reaching out to him now? Okay. He may have to get back on his phone, maybe, but unless there's something bigger incorrect.
But if we want to continue on to something else while we wait for him, we can do that. But it's up to your discretion, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm seeing if he comes back in. I hate to break it up sometimes, but we may not have a choice so that we're not waiting too long. He may have had some kind of outage issue. Deputy, if you want to save us time, we may have to go to another case till Mr. Milan is able to sign back on another device, possibly. As soon as I say that and we get the person out of the chair, he'll probably sign back on.
Position 7, Mr. Murray.
Okay, let's see if we can get through this one. Is that not Mr. Palans, is it, Ms. Nimini? You're muted.
Give me 1 second, let me look. I think it might be here.
It might be his too.
1 second. Oh no, that's me.
Oh, that's you. Okay. All right. We can, Mr. Robert Murray. And this is case number 23 CR 005288D, pretrial.
24 total.
Okay.
Last arrest was 2020 ag assault. Possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission. Use of a firearm by a convicted felon during the commission. 2016 possession of a firearm by convicted felon conviction. 2011 ag assault conviction. And 2020 possession by a convicted felon. That's it.
Okay.
Your Honor, look who's back.
There we go. I knew that would happen as soon as we started on another case.
Of course,
but
Your
I was
Honor.
afraid
The
to
timing
wait.
is impeccable.
Yeah, we understand. Let us finish this. Well, I really didn't start. I just called the case and got the criminal history. Will the deputy, will you get mad at me or you want me to finish this one first?
Can we finish this since he already sitting there?
Since he's sitting there? That's okay, deputy. We'll finish. I apologize. So go ahead, state with Mr. Murray.
Okay. Your Honor, this incident happened yesterday at 775 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard in Atlanta. Officers flagged down in reference to an assault from Miss Regina Winfrey. Upon pulling over, they were advised that she was assaulted by a defendant as she was walking down the sidewalk. Defendant had approached her, and I apologize for the colorful language, asking her for some pussy. And then she told him no, that she wasn't obligated to give him any parts of her body and to leave her alone. And then defendant called her another word, bitch, and slapped her in the face several times with an open hand, causing bruising to the left side of her face, as well as minor lacerations to her forehead. Defendant was then placed in handcuffs and put into the patrol vehicle. While he was in the patrol vehicle, he advised officers that Miss Winfrey had came to his house early that morning around 3 a.m. and caused a disturbance, in which the police officers had came to remove her. And then she had came back again while he was working outside of the liquor store. But then he does admit to swinging on her and hitting her with an open hand. Considering the defendant's cycles, there's 23 total cycles, 4 cycles in Florida, 19 in Georgia, some ranging from possession of a firearm, parole violations, weed, weapons on a school zone, burglary, possession, ag assault, ag battery. Bond is currently at 3,000 shorty. The state is asking to increase it to 5,000. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. No further contact with Miss Regina Winfrey, which I would like to sound for. To stay away from the 775 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard if he does not work there, or if he's not adjacent to that location, his job. And that's it, Your Honor.
Okay. PD Abdul.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 70 years old. He was born in Georgia, has lived here his whole life. He has his high school diploma. He's also attended some college here in Georgia. He does have a record, but he hasn't been arrested since 2020. He also tells me he's now connected with services at Georgia Harm Reduction Coalition in Parker Center. I believe that's right by the incident location. And he's been staying out of trouble and doing a lot better ever since. My client also tells me that Miss Winfrey was the first aggressor. She was harassing him. She's known to do that. He tells me that she's a bully. He has no issue with a no contact. And as he's recommended for unsecured judicial release, I would ask for a signature bond through the jail. And that's all, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, I just want to put on record, even though he was last arrested in 2020, he was convicted for possession of a firearm and other charges, Your Honor. So I think that, considering that he is a habitual offender and a violent offender, to take that into consideration, Your Honor.
Let me get a little bit of clarification on the incident location. Is that the actual address of where this program is, or just near there? Is that what we believe?
It's near that location. He also told me he's okay with a do not return to that specific address, but I would ask that he be allowed to go to that area, considering that that's where he's connected with services that's been, like I said, helping him and getting him out of trouble.
Okay, I understand. I am going to continue with the $3,000 surety bond, but with that, on that bond, rather, I'm going to order a stay away from 775 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard. And if the defendant doesn't have to be in that immediate area, not to be in the surrounding area to that location, there will be no further contact with the victim, Regina Winfrey. And if you see her coming down the street, once you get out on bond, go the other way. And hopefully you won't run into her. Continue with your program, but no drugs, alcohol, unprescribed medications, or weapons or guns while on bond. And I think that's going to be the order of the court.
Judge, how much? What's the bond?
$3,000 surety bond, good bond.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next is position 8. Lord, sit down.
This is 23 CR 005289J. Giovani Anastasi, charge of 1 count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer pretrial.
First arrest, SOB jail was the recommendation.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened yesterday around 5 a.m. At 894 Argonne Avenue, Northeast Atlanta. Officers were responding to a theft of a vehicle call at the location, and prior to her arrival, she was advised that the caller would be waiting in a red Kia at the location. When she arrived, the car was not there. No one was in the perimeter. The officers turned on her flashing lights and advised dispatch to reach out to the caller. Then the officer was advised that the caller was a third party who advised that the individual that needed the assistance was standing on their porch and they were afraid to come out. And then officer noticed a defendant sitting on the ground and asked if they needed assistance, in which they failed to answer. The officer asked if that individual was deaf, and she told the officers that she could hear her, and then told her that and then the officer asked her to talk to her about her concerns, and asked her to approach her. Defendant complied and started walking towards the patrol vehicle, opened the right front passenger side of the door, which the officer closed and advised her to stop. Then she asked her if she was drunk, but based on the officer's observations, defendant smelled like alcohol and her eyes were consistent with someone under the influence. Defendant continued to open the officer's patrol vehicle. The officer pushed her away and officers attempted to detain her. That's when defendant looked at the officers with glaring eyes, started to walk to the officer and failed to comply with orders to get back and continue to walk towards the car. And then that's when the officer used her taser to stop her, and she fell to the ground and was later handcuffed and taken into possession. Currently, bond is set at $500 surety bond, but considering that this is an officer, the state is asking for a $2,500 signature bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, to stay away from that 894 Argonne Avenue Northeast, if they don't live there. No further contact with Officer Shanika Dismangles. And that's it, Your Honor.
What's the last name of the officer?
Dismangles, Desmangles.
Okay. All right, PD Abdom.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Nemini, do you mind repeating the bond recommendation, please?
Yes, bond is currently at $500, but the state is asking for $2,500, considering that it was an officer.
So what kind?
Surety.
Okay.
Surety.
Yes.
Okay.
But you said SOB, I believe, on the 2,500. That's what I
heard too.
You did.
Oh, you heard me correctly.
Heard it as well.
Yes, SOB. Yes, Your Honor.
So the recommendation is to increase it to a 2,500 SOB jail.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. And thank you for clarifying. So my client's 27 years old, originally from Florida, been in Georgia since June. He was a 42 Alpha Human Resources Specialist at the U.S. Army, and he was honorably discharged. And since this is his first arrest and recommended for unsecured judicial release, I would agree to the SOB through the jail, and a stay away and no further contact is not objected to. And I believe those were the only conditions.
Okay. All right, I will order a $2,500 SOB or signature bond through the jail. I am a little concerned that the defendant has only been in Georgia a few months, but obviously I'm hoping there's enough contacts that
he has two roommates. I have their contact information, and he has stable housing, and he has veterans benefits. And I think that should not be a concern, in my opinion, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And with that SOB jail, we're going to order the stay away from 894 Argonne Avenue Northeast. And no further contact with Officer Dismangles. No drugs, alcohol, unprescribed prescriptions, guns or weapons while on bond. And I think that'll be it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Position number 10.
Your Honor, may I make a request?
Yes.
May we finish position 4 and then do add-on?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Deputy, can we go back to the one we need to finish? I forgot.
My building is low power and I'm running internet off.
Oh,
of my
you're building. Oh, are you? Okay.
Back.
I didn't know if you had to sign back on your telephone or something.
Oh, yeah, it was quite the operation.
Wow. All
So
right,
you're-
we're going to finish Mr. Lyon, Devonta Lyon. Huh? Yes. All right, and we kind of stopped in the middle of your presentation, Mr. Pilon.
Yes, Your Honor. So the state's concern, and I was able to confirm this while my wife was helping me out with the internet. The two addresses, 1044 and 1038, are two apartment buildings that are only separated by a parking lot. So I don't know that it's fair to deny the victims the stay away request because the defendant's family member lives across the parking lot from them.
I
So-
think she
go ahead.
started, PD Abden started to say he's residentially challenged and he was staying there with a family member. And I do understand, we certainly don't want to add insult to injury, I guess, with his living situation. But he did mention two other addresses and I think a grandmother or some other relative.
Your Honor, I believe those are just mailing addresses just for us to contact him. And so he does not, if Your Honor is inclined, he could stay away from the actual address of the complaining victims, but if he would be allowed to go back and stay and live where he's been living, that's what
I'm a little apprehensive about that.
State's contention would be that the defendant should go live with a different family member, that he has himself disadvantaged himself, not anything being forced upon him.
I would object to that. This is a non-violent offense. It's a theft by taking. He doesn't even know these people. And we don't want him to end up on the street and without housing. So I would ask the court to please allow him to return to this address.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah.
And I want the victims to be safe and free of not having any other thefts or any other items stolen. And the victim is Mr. Roel. And do we know for sure, ASG Pilon, which building he lives in?
I should say no, Your Honor. It seems to me from reading the report that the victim lives in 1044 and that the defendant's family member lives in 1038. But again, if you were just to visit the complex, it appears to be one complex. It's only separated by parking spots.
Right.
It looks like a bunch of buildings.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I thought earlier the defendant, and don't want to belabor this with the defendant. I thought earlier, did he say his relatives lived in the 1044 building or the 1038? Can you ask him that, Ms. Abden?
Absolutely, Your Honor. So the family member you're staying with, do you know which building that is?
Yes, ma'am. They stay in 1044. The people that stated that their headphones were stolen. They don't stay in the complex at all. They look like some people from the officer told me that they was out of town, that they didn't even stay in the complex or something like that.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
And I don't have any indication of that in the warrant, Your Honor.
Yeah, they don't have the victim's address.
Yeah, Your Honor, given that we don't even know if they live there and he is in danger of being homeless because of this, I would ask again that he be allowed to return.
Well, my contention, Your Honor, is that it appears that the victim does live there. I don't have anything that would corroborate the defendant's statement in the warrant. That's state's contention, not that they don't live there and that their property rights aren't of concern.
Yeah, I do have a concern until we know for sure to have him to go right back. You know, victims will say, I went back the next day and there they were staring me in the face or taunting me. And we have to make sure that our victim is safe and that they will be free from any intimidation by the defendant or anything by being in a small apartment complex with two buildings only separated by a parking lot. I do have concerns about that. And you know, I know these are allegations, but I want to make sure that our victim is safe. If we find out otherwise, you all can file PD's office can file a motion to modify the bond conditions if we find out that this is truly a tourist or someone from out of town. Once we can confirm that somehow, either by the state speaking to the victim, and if the state has contact with the victim, I would ask that we maybe then allow him to go back to that residence. But right now, I'm going to order with that $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge. I'm going to order that he stay away from 1044 Washington Street, the whole complex. And I think Mr. Our ASG Palan, we said it was called People's Town Revitalization was the name of the complex, I believe.
Yeah,
So right now, I'm going to order the defendant to stay away from this complex as well as 1044 Washington Street. So, and 1038, if we need to be more specific, until we can clarify where the victim resides.
I think 1044 is sufficient, Your Honor. Realistically, any officer trying to effectuate that is going to see 1044 and think that it's the same building.
Okay, all right, that's fine. And hopefully, Mr. Lyon, you will be able to stay with some other family member, relative, or friend until this case is cleared up or until the bond conditions are released against you. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or unprescribed medication, no weapons or no guns while on bond, and no further contact with the victim, Mr. Royal, however you pronounce his name. Have I left off anything?
No, Your Honor. Nothing
Okay.
from the state.
Okay. All right. That'll conclude this case.
And then, Your Honor, my request would be that we do the add-on position number 1. That way, Ms. Nimini doesn't have to pick up my slack.
Okay. In case your internet goes, yeah. Okay. Good. Your Honor, can we do the add-on, Mr. Burla?
Can I do him next? I have another person already coming up.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
So.
And who is this?
Position number 10.
All right. DeAnthony Reeves, 23 CR 005291C, charged with 1 count of terroristic threats and acts, pretrial.
Let's see what we got here. 46 total. Last arrest was back in May, fleeing and officer obstruction, suspended license. That appears to be open. All that's out of state court, 23 CR 003-341C. 2019-2021 probation, 2019 failure to appear. 2018-2017 failure to appear. 2019 disorderly conduct conviction. 2010 simple battery DV conviction. That's it.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred July 30th of this year. So there's a lot of colorful language.
Give me first letters only. I won't make you repeat them.
Okay. The defendant is accused of threatening his daughter, Miss Shamirico Brown. So some of the words that he did say was, "I'm gonna come over here and F both of y'all entire world up. Don't ever disrespect me, blank word. It wasn't for me, little B word, you wouldn't be here. Your mama can kiss my head. You've effed with the wrong person. You've effed up. Stop disrespecting me before I come and whoop your A word. Shamirical, F you, and I don't have to be your MFing daddy. And this has been ongoing for some time now. The state was able to talk to Miss Reeves and Miss Brown, and she doesn't want any contact with him, just due to the hostility and the violent nature, and she is seeking a protective order. She says that this incident started happening after Mr. Reeves, the defendant's issues with the cops, May of this year, because she helped him helped the police in an investigation with him fleeing the officers. They used to live together, but she has removed herself from the residence and has discontinued all communication with her father. He still continues to contact her via telephone and text messages. Based on the incident that happened in May, where he was fleeing officers in a high-speed chase, and then she was advising officers, and then he was bit by a police K-9 before he was taken into custody. That is what prompted his upset with her since he's been released from jail. Additionally, she is now living with her mother at the 5374 Radford Loop in Fairburn, Georgia. Defendant is verbally abusive, and she is terrified of him, just as her mother is terrified of him. And they're currently getting a TPO. She's asking the state to request that, he gets no contact, parenting classes, anger management, drug and alcohol evaluation, and stay away from her resident. Based on his cycles and his tendency, his parole violations, his failure to appear, he has an open case. Bond is currently a $2,500 shorty. The state is asking to increase it to a $5,000 shorty to stay away from their location, the mother and the daughter's location. No further contact with Mr. Miracle Brown, family violence and intervention program, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And the victim is currently online, Mr. Miracle Brown, and I would like to sound for her, Your Honor.
Yes, Ms. Brown. Would you like to address the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, raise your right hand for me. I need to swear you in. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, put your hand down. How old are you?
I'm 19.
19, okay. All right, what is it that you would like to say to the court today?
I want to clarify one piece of information in the repeat of the incidents that occurred. I did not live with him. I didn't move out. I always lived with my mom. I spent the night over at his place after a long drive from the airport, and he took the argument started because he took my car, and then he took it on a high-speed chase from the police because I don't know why, I guess because he didn't have his license or anything, but they were only trying to tell me that I had a flat tire because a couple of days prior, I had gotten into a small incident and I had to put a spare tire on my car. They were trying to alert him that he had a flat tire, but instead he fled the scene, and that is when he fled the scene. They called me, and I just felt disrespected by it because it's not only did you take my car, but you took it on a high-speed chase. So when they called me, I see his location. I did give them their location. I did give them his location because why would you flee the scene? You just left my car there, And I just got that car.
All right, but this is not your trial, and I'm not here to go through all the facts and allegations. The biggest concern that I have right now is that you are safe. And do you want to have any contact with your father, D'Anthony Reeves?
No violent contact until he's done with therapy and counseling.
Okay, so is that no violent contact or no contact at all?
No contact.
Okay.
Unless he does his therapy.
Well, I can't put a bunch of conditions, but I will put some in place. Some of those will have to come out later in your case and upon going to court and things of that nature. This is just for bond release.
Yes,
right
no
now.
contact.
Okay, no further contact. And I'm assuming is with you and your mom. Who's your mom?
Kianda.
Kianda?
She's present in the Zoom as well.
Okay, I see somebody with Sonia Terry, but she's shaking her head. Who's your mom?
That's my aunt. Sonia Terry's my aunt, but my mother is present.
You got your aunt and your mom. Okay. All right, so Kianda is mom. And Sonja is your aunt. Okay. Yes. Okay. Very good. You have a good support system. And so, and are you in fear of Mr. Reeves?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Those are the key questions. And because you're 19, I am not going to belabor the issue a little bit with mom and aunt. I can read body language from your aunt and your mom, and we want to make sure that everyone is going to be safe, and especially you as the main and initial victim in this case. All right. Any cross-examination by either attorneys?
No, Your Honor.
All right. This is your case, PD Kim?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
My client, Mr. Reeves, is 42 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. Your Honor, he says he has 20 children and he is self-employed, operating Music Global Entertainment. He graduated from high school and he does not have enough income as of now. So he's qualified for public defender services. Currently, there is already $2,500 surety bond. We would like to request for a signature on bond. And yet, if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we would like to request that $2,500 remain as set. He has no objection to stay away or no further contact with Ms. Shamirakul Brown. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Well, I'm definitely with his history not going to give him a signature bond. And I just, you know, the language and the whole incident and the action seemed to be very traumatizing for his young daughter. And so the allegations do concern me. His history concerns me. So I'm going to increase it to a $5,000 surety bond. And with that $5,000 surety bond, going to order no further contact with Shamirakul Brown and or her family, relatives, her mom, her aunt, no further contact with any of them. And I'm going to order a stay away from, I guess, Shamirakul's address, or Shamirakul, you live with your mom and your aunt, or just your mom?
Just my mom.
Okay. And I'm assuming, does your father know that address? Because I would allow you to put it in the chat, or you can say it in open court, whichever you'd like to do, or you feel comfortable.
Yes, he knows my address. We live 10 minutes apart, so it's.
Oh, you live
53
10 minutes apart. Ooh, you live that close?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if he gets out on bond, he's supposed to know that he cannot be within, is it 200 yards of you? So he's got to stay 2 football fields away from you if he gets out on bond. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And so he's listening to me. His attorney will inform him that he's not to contact you through third parties, other people. No text messages, no cell phone, no computers, nothing. He is not to have any contact with you whatsoever. And I'm adding your mom and your aunt to it because I just want all of you all to be safe and have no intimidation from him until this case obviously is over. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
No drugs, alcohol, unprescribed medication, guns, or weapons while on bond. If Mr. Reeves has any guns, he needs to turn them in to the sheriff's department. If he gets out on bond, make sure of that. And I guess that'll be it for now. Anything else, counsel? Or anything else from the state?
The state will request for FIB or anger awareness course, Your Honor.
Well, I don't know at the moment. I would order the anger awareness course that he could take on his own with his own income, but since it's not a pretrial bond or anything through that, I sometimes do it, and I know what PD Kim is going to probably tell me if I order him to take an anger management course on his own with his own income. We're going to leave that up to the division judge when he goes before them. For bond purposes right now, I'm checking all the boxes on the no further contact. If you all are getting a protective order, that'll have about the same conditions or more. And maybe you can address it at that time, okay? All right, and if you see him around, because you lives too close, honestly, and if he's closer than those 200 yards, you just need to call the police. Okay, all right, be safe. All right, you're welcome.
Y'all in position of add on one.
Okay. This is 23 CR 005298E, Sylvan Burla, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, a 2nd count of willful obstruction for law enforcement officer. Pre-trial?
First arrest, he was recommended.
Okay. All right, state.
Your Honor, in this matter, the defendant was previously trespassed from that same incident location building. Let me get this. 2 days ago at 9 p.m. He was found in the building the following day at 9 a.m. Officers found the defendant on the 15th floor in room 1503, removing items from a box and placing them into his backpack. The defendant physically resisted as officers attempted to arrest him for the trespass. We're asking for a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, and we'd also ask for a stay away from Georgia Tech campus and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
And what's the breakdown on the 2 charges?
That'd be $1,500 each, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, PD Abden.
Thank you, Your Honor. My client's 24 years old. He moved here from Nebraska to go to Georgia Tech. He's studying quantitative finance and computational science engineering, and he's enrolled in school at Georgia Tech. He's supposed to start school, well, he started school on the 21st, and he tells me this was a misunderstanding. He firmly denies these allegations. It is my understanding that the items from the box were a box of clothing that were for the students to thrift, essentially. And it's my understanding this happened in the CODA building. We would object to a stay away. All of his professors are in that building. It is my understanding that he did not know he was not to return. He goes to school there, and he is recommended for unsecured judicial release. This is his first arrest, and he's already missed 2 days of school. He just wants to go back to school and see this case through. So I would ask for a signature bond through the jail, and we're objecting to the stay away, considering, like I said, all his professors and his classmates will be in that building, and that would prevent him from furthering his education.
Your Honor, state would amend stay away from Georgia Tech campus, but we would continue to ask for the stay away from that particular building, the CODA building.
Your Honor, we would object to that. How is he supposed to speak with his professors or be engaged in school if he can't go to that building?
Same way we're in court, Ms. Abden.
There's a tight one with him being a student there, and that is the classroom building, I'm assuming, for his major.
Your Honor, my understanding is that it's a mixed use building, that the defendant was on the 15th floor, which is, I presume, a floor that he doesn't have any reason to be on. My understanding is that floor houses a child's study lab, which per Ms. Abden, he is not studying. So I think it's reasonable to ask for a stay away from that building for the duration of bond, which he can easily get modified, or he can resolve the case.
Again, Your Honor, I would object to that. Like I said, all of his friends who he goes to school with and he's in classes with are in that building. That's where they study. That's where they hang out. All of his professors are in that building. That's what he tells me. And he also was issued a school ID. Without going too much into the facts, it sounds like he just didn't have it on him, and this was a misunderstanding with him and the arresting officer. I would ask that he be allowed to go back there and for the signature bond to be through the jail.
He was, the allegations are that he was removing clothes from somewhere. Tell me again.
Our
the
warrant doesn't say
allegations.
what the items are, Your Honor. That's defendant's allegation that they were simply clothes, but our warrant does not state that they are clothes. It just says items.
Removing them from where? What does it say on the warrant?
Removing them from a box that was in a room and placing them into his backpack. So from the warrant, it sounds like an incomplete theft.
Again, without going in too much into the facts, it's my understanding that this was a box of clothing that were donations and or for thrifting, essentially, for the students to take and were free to take. He firmly denies these allegations, and they are just allegations at this point. He's just starting school. We don't want his education to be impacted by this. And I would ask that he be allowed to go back to that building and continue to go to school there.
Let me ask you to ask your client a question. Is this his classroom building where he takes classes? Can we ask him that?
Sure.
Okay.
So do you take classes in that building?
I don't have classes, but I conduct research with professors in that building. And so why I was on the 15th floor is because there were some like items in like the open area that were just there for like temporary use.
That wasn't the question. The question
Mr.
is,
Burla, I would advise you to not go into the facts. And Your Honor, like I stated, his professors are in that building, so he does research, so he would need to meet with them, and he would need to have access to that building. And
that was my question. I don't think he really answered that, and it sounds like he's getting ready to say no, but I do want to hear from him specifically. Is that a classroom building where you take classes? Real simple question. Yes or no?
And yes or no, please.
Yeah, good question. You're under oath.
Yes.
Do you have to go into that building to take your classes every day?
I work there. So like
He works there.
And I like
Mr. Burla, what he's trying to explain is what I've been saying, is that his actual class time is not there. However, since he's engaged in research in his classes, he needs to meet with his professors who are in that building.
Does he have to go on the 15th floor is my last question. Does he have to go on the 15th floor?
Mr. Burla, are your professors?
I don't have to go on the 15th floor, and I don't need access to CODA, but I would like access to CODA.
Thank you.
So he said that he doesn't need to go on the 15th floor, and what was
He
the
does
last
not.
part?
He also said that he does not need access to the building, but that he would like access to the building. And Your
That's what I
Honor,
thought he
think for
said
the
at the
purposes
end.
of bond.
Yeah, I know. For the purposes of this this signature bond, I'm going to order that he not go to that
Right.
building.
I mean, the
He's gonna
idea
have
that
to
you can't
find-
technological institute of
I think he's freezing.
Say that again.
I was merely stating, Your Honor, that the idea that you can't attend a class online at the premier technological institute in the nation is a little crazy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Some people have gone away from totally online, or he would have to get some special privileges for that. But it sounds like this is not his main classroom building, which is what I was concerned about. And he may have to take some slight leave of some sort from the research or the work positions until we can find out really what was going on. If he had classes in that building and needed to go there for class, I was going to allow him to go and not go to the 15th floor because he said that. But then he added on that, I thought earlier it was more of a general use building and not just a classroom building. So I'm going to order the $3,000 signature bond, and I'm going to.
Your Honor, would he just be able to meet with his professors in that building and nothing else? Would if the court be inclined to allow him to do that?
Well, they could talk on phone or do Zoom.
Okay.
To be honest, you know, it sounds weird, but I don't know, and it sounds kind of complicated, and maybe not, maybe I'm making it more complicated. I'm trying to simplify it. You know, I hate to say a person can go into a building and not go to a certain floor, because that's, you know, probably not as easy to maneuver. Stay away from the building for a moment. You can apply for a bond modification if we can figure out what was going on. If it's a simple case like ASG Palan said, maybe can just be resolved, and then all of that will go away to some extent. But instead of ordering him to stay off of one floor, I'm going to order him to not go to this, what is the name of the building?
CODA, it's CODA.
Okay, to
Right.
stay away from the CODA building while on bond, unless the conditions are modified. If he has to meet with professors, things of that nature, I'm sure they can call him on the phone or do Zoom or other means of that. And if it comes up to research and work, apply for a modification once we can sort it out. I'm not going to ban him from the whole campus. Can't do that. But if he was told a few days ago prior to this to not come to that building, is from what I think I heard from Mr. Palan, I'm going to stick with that for now, that this mixed use building he needs to stay away from. So I don't mean to be confusing, Mr. Burla, but please stay away from the CODA building right now while you're on bond. Find other ways to meet with your professors and talk to them and talk to your friends about other ways, but you are not to be at the CODA building, which is the incident location. 3,000 signature bonds of pretrial. They will explain to you about reporting in as per the judge. No drugs, alcohol, unprescribed medications, weapons or guns while on bond. And I think that'll do it. All right.
Further from the state, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm. And those are the three that we have left.
So who's next?
Position number 11, Mr. Rucker.
Your Honor, I know this is a little unusual, but given my precarious technological situation, may I be excused from the court? That concludes the matters I'm handling today.
Yes, yes, you may.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, these are all Miss ASG Niminy's case. All right, 23 CR 005292Y. And this is Mr. Is it Rucker? Charge of 1 count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and failure to use crosswalk. Pre-trial.
8 total. Last arrest was in July. Sale of marijuana. 23 CP 220269. He got open drug cases in Superior Court. 17 SC 149381. 2022 possession of a controlled substance. Trafficking weapon. Person ineligible to carry a firearm, theft, and possession of a weapon by a felon. That's it.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened August 29th at 1657 Lakewood Avenue, Southeast Atlanta. The officer was initiating a drop at the nearby location. So he was walking around, parked his vehicle, and walked on foot because it's a high crime area. While walking, he noticed 2 black males dispersed from the area that they were in, which raised his suspicion to make him believe that there was criminal activity afoot. He went to investigate it, but they walked away. He didn't have probable cause. He went to the nearby food mart to see if anything was happening in that food mart. Once he left out, he saw one of the black males who had left the area when he approached. And then he acknowledged him crossing the roadway without using a crosswalk, which put him in violation of OCGA 4532, which gave him probable cause to stop him. The defendant walked up and talked to other members of the location. As he was walking off, the officer attempted to speak with him, but he didn't want to talk. But then the defendant did cross that same roadway again without illegally crossing that roadway again, while the officer attempted to speak to him. And as the officer asked him for his name, defendant acted as if he was going to run. So the officer gave a description of the defendant over the radio and pulled out his taser. Defendant did take off in a sprint, and the officer pursued. Defendant jumped over a ledge and ran towards a bikers club. And once he was able to clear the ledge, the officer deployed his taser and made contact with him. And struck his right glute. Defendant continued to flee, running through a cut fence. Attempted to enter a building at the location, was unable to do so, then ran to another location, then crossed over the same intersection again illegally. And then once it looked like he was tired, he decided to surrender, and the officer was able to apprehend him. Considering the facts alleged, the state is asking for a $3,500 shorty bond. Stay away from that. 1657 Lakewood Avenue, Southeast. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons, Your Honor.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 26 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. And Your Honor, he works part-time here and there with odd jobs, but he has not had a full-time job for the last 6 months. So he's qualified for public defender services. He graduated from high school, and also he completed a little bit of some college, but he did not have a degree yet. We would like to request for signature on bond. Your Honor, I think what police has done using the taser and hitting my client because of failure to use crosswalk is a little bit over excessive. And we would like to request for a signature on bond for this. Thank you.
And Your Honor, the state just wants to know that although a taser was used, he did commit a walking ordinance, and the officer did try to speak to him on multiple occasions, and that's when he ran. Jumped over a ledge, jumped through a fence, ran to one location, ran to another location, simply because the officer was trying to speak with him. And then, Your Honor, he also has an open case, and this case, possession of drugs. He has a battery case from 2018, 2021 weed, 2023 drugs and reckless conduct. Your Honor, the state is going to oppose a signature bond.
What was the state's recommendation again on bond?
3,500 shorty, Your Honor.
Is that an even breakdown, or what was the breakdown recommendation?
Oh, I apologize. 2,500 for the 2,500 for the obstruction and 1,000 for the failure to use the crosswalk.
All right, I'm going to order a surety bond, and that surety bond amount will be 2,500. That'll be 1,500 on the first charge, and 1,000 on the second charge. So that's a total of 2,500 surety bond. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or unprescribed medication or guns while on bond. And I think that's it. Was there any other request by the state?
This is stay away from that location, just due to its high crime activity, and that's where he was running from the officer.
Do we know? I mean, is this location very public? Does he live there? I mean,
It was near a BP gas station.
So are we given that specific address for the gas station for him to stay away from?
Yeah, it could be 1683 Lakewood Avenue Southeast, Your Honor, which is BP gas station.
Okay, so let's say that to stay away from the BP gas station on Lakewood Avenue there. And anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you. PD Cam, I guess you can answer your client's questions later.
Yes, I'll be happy to call you and answer your question. You have a right to remain silent. Please do not say anything.
All right, who do we have next, deputies?
Position number 13, Mr. Smith.
All right.
Your Honor, I requested breakout room for this client.
Okay, for Mr. Smith.
Yes, Your
Mr. Weems then first, position number 14.
Okay, and then we can do that one last. Okay. All right, this is, all right, Mr. Derek Weems, 23 CR 005295G, theft by taking. Retrial.
First arrest, SOB jail.
Thank you. State.
Mr. Walker's in the waiting room. If you could let him in, please. Mr. ASG Walker's in the waiting room. If you could let him in.
Okay, I got it.
I have to wait for ASG Walker.
Okay.
Okay, he's here. So this incident happened yesterday at 535 10th Street Northwest at Sublime Donuts. Officers were dispatched based on a larceny call. Upon arrival, they spoke with Ms. Dawn Petries, who is the manager, who stated that one of her employees was taking money out of the register during closing time at the store. They had video footage of the individual doing so. Ms. Petries was able to show a picture of the male subject who was inside the store, which was defendant. The defendant was approached by officers and they asked him to step aside, and he was detained in the patrol vehicle. And they acknowledged that he was the male on the camera taking money from the register one night in the amount of $165. Mr. Defendant stated that he took the money because he needed money for rent. Mr. Weems was searched and placed back in a vehicle and transported to Fulton County. Considering the low history, bond is currently at 1,000 shorty. The state is going to ask to change it to 2,000 signature bond through pretrial services to stay away from the 535 10th Street Northwest, which is his work location, and an anti-theft course, Your Honor.
Okay. So your request then, or the state's recommendation, is a $2,000 SOB through pretrial?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. PD Kim, you have any objection to that?
We would like to request for $2,000 SOB through jail, Your Honor, if it is okay. This is his first offense ever. He's only 24 years old.
And I understand this is going to be a stay away from his work or his job?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
So if he does not get fired, I would like him to be able to keep his job, because it seems like there was a misunderstanding they need to work out.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Has the state had any contact with the victim at all? Or the manager of the store?
No, Your Honor. We weren't able to get in contact with the manager.
And so I'm a little torn about telling him he can't go back to work, but there's allegations of taking some money out of a cash register. Maybe they don't. Haven't had a chance to talk to the victim. So until we do or find out, we'll have to apply to modify it. I will grant the $2,000 signature bond. I'm going to grant that signature bond through the jail. And with that 2,000 SOB jail, I'm going to order him to stay away from his job, the Subline Donut location on 10th Street, until we can sort out whether they want him to come back or not, or have any contact, no further contact with the manager, Don Patrice. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or unprescribed medication or guns while on bond. And I think that's it. Anything else?
What's the bottom line again?
$2,000 SOB jail per judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, this is the last case. We need to turn off the live stream.